there are just some artists that are absolutely just freaking fantastic. It was back almost 7 years ago, this coming May, 7 years ago, when I discovered this artist. And, I knew about just one, I only knew one song from him, and I believe, the other song, Mr. Tambourine Man. Of course, that was the Byrds, and I knew about that song. But I knew Like a Rolling Stone. And of course, this is the brilliant and fantastic, absolutely amazing poet, that is Bob Dylan. I first heard Rainy Day Woman. It was on a Sirius XM, it was like the 60s on 6 thing, whatever. And this was before I actually knew what the title was. I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of interesting. It's not, it's funny along the way I kind of figured, oh, okay, what is this out? I discovered where the song came from. And of course, it comes from the brilliant Blonde on Blonde. Let's say Blonde on the Tracks. Blonde on Blonde. And, okay, and then I was listening through pretty much, I think it was about maybe, a year after whatever, I was really getting to a lot of the Dylan 60s albums and stuff. Mostly the Electric period, And I was listening through the whole Blonde on Blonde, and I thought, wow, this there's a lot more better songs than Rainy Day Woman. I mean, that song's great, but man, just Visions of Johanna, and and Mostly Go Your Way and I Go Mine. Just wow, just like I was really blown away, and it's really just sad. I don't know, am I sad? No. But it's really crazy, freaking insane, that I only have 3 crucial big albums that I have here on my top favorite CD series that I'm doing here. Only 3 albums that I chose from Bob Dylan. Now I know his discography is freaking a laundry list long. Like, you mean you only have 3 albums that you only chose from Dylan? Yes, I don't have the early stuff. I mean, I got one electric album, I got one country album from him, and of course I got one of the most greatest masterpieces that I think Dylan had ever did in his, other than of course when he did his revival, with Time Out of Mind, and well, you mean you don't like those albums? But yes, I do. But I think these 3 albums right here, these 3 that I'm going to show you right here, are just the ones I listen to back to back, constantly, over and over again, more than I think than those albums. And I gotta say, I absolutely love every single Bob Dylan album. Well, Self-Portrait, I mean, I like that. I don't know, after those Christian years, like Knocked Out Loaded, yeah, those are pretty bad. And again, I love his, when he came back in the late 90s and the 2000s. I love Tempest. And I wasn't really a big fan of, stuff like Together Through Life. I mean, that album's kind of okay. But these are the 3 Bob Dylan albums. I mean, let's just say are probably my favorite. My top favorite, if I was in a desert island, these would definitely be the 3, for sure, my favorite Dylan albums of all time. Starting off, we have 1965, his second album, or his second release in 1965. Not his second album, but Highway 61, legendary album, legendary cover, and it's got one of the greatest opening songs, Like a Rolling Stone. It just really just, it just absolutely just brings this joy almost. Like you just have you have a feeling of just being like almost on cloud 9 a little bit, the song, with some definite, some very, just very, really just like biting lyrics, talking about, just the crap that the crap that people, that are creative and they want to, be able to go and pursue their career and not relying on other stuff that, society hits on you, and it just has like an amazing track. It just has an absolutely great collection of songs, just the album whole. It's just absolutely just fan-damn-tastic. With Like a Rolling Stone, Tombstone Blues. It takes a lot to laugh. It takes a train to cry. From a Buick 6, that's always a fun song. Ballad of a Thin Man. God, that's absolutely one of his greatest masterpieces right there. Flip the album over. Queen Jane Approximately. Some say it's about marijuana, but who cares, right? Highway 61 Revisited. So fun. The Slide Whistle. And he's just like metaphorically and just like, and giving you this kind of detour of like, of the life and the road and the tracks or whatever of that long lonesome road, and just like Tom Thumb's Blues, I always kind of like that song, with Juarez, I think, which is down by I think in Mexico, right, or something like that. And then of course, Desolation Row, which is just like one of those great acoustic, just brilliant, poetry, and talks about people that were that always just felt so never just had that accomplishment, never talks about all these people that were just that were kind of like misfits, and it's just great. And the great, and you got like amazing people on here. Freaking Al Cooper, Paul Griffin, Bobby Gregg, Charlie McCoy. I always liked him. He was always a great player too. But the one little nitpick on the album, I know this is very, very definitely minor, small little thing, is I believe the tuning on Dylan's guitar is it definitely seems like something is not right on Queen Jane Approximately. I don't know if he had it tuned in the right chord or whatever key, and but I just absolutely love Highway 61. I could talk about this all day, great stuff. And then I have, now that I say country, I do have Nashville Skyline. I know I had this on LP, but now I was able to get it in a 3-pack, because I don't know if I would ever want to get that big box set or whatever. But I had this, I had New Morning, and I had John Wesley Harding. So now I got three CDs of John Wesley Harding, but Nashville Skyline I absolutely enjoy. You got, again, great people on here. Bob Wilson, right? I believe he's the one producing. Yeah, Charlie Daniels, Norman Blake, Pete Drake, and I really, really love Johnny Cash. The back of the album, it doesn't have it on here. Which, I don't think it doesn't have it, unless maybe the liner notes. Let me see if, maybe the liner notes might have the back cover. Oh yeah, it actually says it in the liner notes right here, of what he says. He says, the yield of rend, the break of bend, the scar of mend, I'm proud to say that I know it. Herein is a hell of a poet, and lots of other things. And lots of other things. And of course he, wrote his signature there. But I really love Dylan and Cash doing, that Freewheelin' song. Remember that song, Girl from North Country? And I think they actually did it live on his TV show. He also did I Threw It All Away. And after that, you got that crazy, outlandish Nashville Skyline rag with the instrumental. Just fun. Kenny Buttrey. What a great drummer, man. I mean, just such a great drummer. To Be Alone With You. I like that one. And Peggy Day. That's kind of silly, but it's still fun. And of course, Lay Lay. Oh yeah, One More Night. And the stars are bright. But tonight I'll be blah blah blah. I forgot the other words. Tell Me That It Isn't True. I love the way it kind of has a false start. It's just fun. Country Pie. It's a short song, but it's very, very fun. I like, whoa, he's got his hogs up between his toes. Oh me, oh my, I love that country pie. Saddle Up That Goose. I like the way he's just like, he's not just being serious here. He's just like, this was a period of time where he's like, all right, I'm not going to be serious. I'm just going to have fun here, Now, I don't know, maybe people didn't like... I don't know. I think I've heard people saying, "Oh, I don't like Nashville Skyline. That's not Dylan." But Dylan is like he's a chameleon. He's always changing things. He never wants to do something that's what he already did already. Like this is just meant to be fun. Just like Wesley Harding. That wasn't serious. Oh yeah, and Tonight I'll Be Staying Here With You. That was covered by everybody, But great stuff. I love Nashville Skyline. And of course, the great and probably one of my favorite top Dylan albums of all time. That is Blood on the Tracks. Great stuff. Every single song, Tangled Up in Blue, Simple Twist of Fate, You're a Big Girl Now. You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go. I love that. Meet Me in the Morning, Lily, Rosemary. That song, I like it okay, but it's not like, it kind of doesn't fit with the album, the theme of it or whatever. Oh yeah, If You See Her, Say Hello, Shelter from the Storm, and Buckets of Rain. I also like some of that acoustic stuff that he did in New York. He had the sessions in New York, September of '74. And then December 70 of that year, he's over in Minneapolis. But yeah, great stuff. I mean, what can I say? Bob Dylan is one of my top favorite lyricists and probably my favorite artist, definitely for sure. I love him, fantastic. As my top favorite CD series I'm doing. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.